Goku looks so fucking cool. There's no reason for me not to play him.
I got called a name and then insulted for using my extra large control.
So like honestly, I'll be real with you. I'm about to go try hard mode on this demo build.
Whoa! Called him out!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, on a very special Mount Paozu Arcade Thursday. I am Meta Abe here with Hell Pockets, and we got a lot to talk about, right, Chris?
Quite a bit. I guess you could call this a classic throwback because usually our Thursday episodes have been pretty explosive in the past, and this one's pretty much right on line to be right with it.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of things that have happened since last Tuesday. God. Well, first thing, Dragon Brawl, that event where we saw probably the first culmination of a lot of really great players, a tournament, happened, and that was pretty fucking insightful.
Yeah, I mean, you worked it, so you, you probably had the best experience.
It was awesome, being a part of it. Shout outs to those guys, props to them for running an event and having me on. But the reason I say that it was so insightful, or at least was really important, was we saw the gameplay or early gameplay of Dragon Ball FighterZ finally get boiled down to what may be what we look for in the future.
Yeah, that's something that I heard echoed from a couple of people already, and mostly because they seemed kind of surprised at how it looked at that level. Not like in a bad way, but I guess there was a lot more, I hate to use the word neutral, like, generically, but there was a lot of that going on. There wasn't a lot of heavy rush down, like, heavy damage combos back and forth going on like we're used to seeing in Dragon Ball FighterZ. There was a lot of like, I'm not going to put myself in a bad situation until you really force me into it kind of play going on, especially in the grand finals. So that was actually really amusing to look at because I was like, okay, cool. There's actually some brain power behind this game. There's some themes working.
What, you never believed before?
No, I did believe before, but I mean, it's just part of the evolution of the game. Because let's face it, when this game first got announced and it got some steam behind it, there were some people that were like, well, I don't know how deep it's gonna go, and I'm like, dude, it's a fighting game. At the very least, it's going to at least have the bare minimum of what ArcSys and Bandai Namco can offer in a fighting game, and from what I saw at Dragon Brawl, it's handled it masterfully,
Well, for me, what was really highlighted is really what may or may not be a problem in the game. But before we get to that, it's how we saw the collision of a lot of different ways of thinking that people brought to the game at that tournament that sadly for some players they had to drop certain strategies cold because that shit did not fucking work.
I mean, we knew that was gonna happen though, right? Like that happens in every game. Like you go in with a game plan and some people's works out and other people's don't, and then there's a few people who just like they just can't use it anymore. Like they were just going in the completely wrong direction. But that's the learning experience.
Well, one of the things about that is that we saw a lot of people. So there was like pretty much like 3 camps, but I'll highlight 2. One is using the meter to take yourself out of positions or take yourself out of risky situations or extend combos, or using meter outside of using it for combos, basically for situational purposes. And then using meter for damage. And I feel like utility is somewhere in the middle. If you think about like what Chris G did, Chris G used Vanish a shitload.
The raw Vanish, right?
Yeah, and what was kind of crazy for some of us to see was how people had not adjusted to the visually jarring feeling of getting put in block stun by something that looks like a Vanish that looked like it should be negative, right?
Right, extremely negative.
And I know these people know that it's plus, but in the moment, they still have not grinded out that little tidbit or that little twitch that maybe they get out of somebody landing a raw vanish into a block.
Well, you gotta imagine, like, it happens. First of all, it happens to all of us. It literally happened to me, like during one of our sets a couple minutes ago, right? And people are trained to look for certain kinds of themes in moves in fighting games, right? And so something that looks as good as Vanish, you assume like, well, it's fast startup, it freezes the screen, and it homes in on my character, which means if I block it, I should at least be able to take my turn, right? No. If you block it, you screwed up.
Yeah, it's not your turn.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of people fishing with Vanish. And I think really, to me, the highlight of that tournament was how Vanish was utilized. Because I think because of Vanish that there was neutral. Because of at any given moment, somebody could just pop a raw Vanish and get into plus frames. People were sniffing that out. And that's something that Chris G did really well. Is he was sniffing out vanishes and punishing them. Raw tags and all the things that are kind of difficult to punish early in the game, he was being very successful at fundamentally shutting those things down and also utilizing and picking the right spots for himself to vanish and get into positive frames.
And right, I imagine like he wanted to do a lot of that when they were standing on the ground, obviously, because he wants them grounded and he wants to continue a block string. Or in best case scenario, they press a button on his raw advantage after blocking it on the ground, and he gets a free combo. So, or a combo from 1 meter, basically.
I'd say the highlights was also calling out sparking, predictable sparkings.
Dude, those are great, right? When you see somebody just pull out the sparking out of desperation, and they get blown up for it.
There was a few people actually that were pretty solid at that. I mean, Tatsu and Nakio hit which one? I think it was Tatsu that had the call out on a DP on one of the sparking call outs.
Oh, you could hit DP the sparking?
I might be mixing up Wednesday night fights with that, but
I mean,
I'm sure it's not the first time that it's happened, but we saw a great display, man. And another person I want to highlight from that tournament was how talented and how much of a good player Kizzy K is, because he was dropping all kinds of shit, getting hit by a lot of stuff, but somehow finding the gusto in a lot of those matches to turn that shit around, and nearly take out Chris G. But because of the Dragon Ball mechanic that they have in that tournament, where you get a wish, I don't think he knew about it. And
I don't think anybody. I didn't even know about it until they started talking about it.
It really fucked with. I would imagine that it would really fuck with a player like, yeah, I got it. Oh, what? Hey, hold on, I got a wish. Fuck,
dude.
At the same time, dude, it's like that was kind of the whole point of that series. Is hey, we have these few tournaments. If you win, you get an extra wish.
Right.
And then Tatsu didn't even use his. He went straight to, I believe, grand finals.
Well, he never had to use him, right? He was just winning.
Well, once you get into grand finals, you can't use it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
To way to tie his hands up. I mean, that's. I mean, I guess that's fair. That's a thing about like the new tournament circuits. Are fun when they add these little side rules and stuff. But like, I guess some people just they need to make sure you read the fine print. You know.
It's just
like,
they're so used to the tournaments running a certain way.
Exactly.
That it's kind of jarring for them. Like what? What the fuck? I get it. Like you're going to this tournament, and it's a big tournament for $3,500. Blah blah. It's a big deal, and you're like, oh shit! I did not think about the wish.
Oh no! Nah, dog. I won, dude. Like, nah, dog. You lost. I had a body change. You know.
Yeah, you could tell even Christy was like, nah, dude. I know it's kind of weird. My bad, but.
Well, he just went through that shit with Battle of the Stones, man. He was just like, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
We're doing this again, huh?
It's like, listen, I just gotta use it, man. You know. So, it was a great tournament. Pleasure to be a part of it as well. And
yeah, I mean, you had a good time, and if I may say so myself, your commentary sets were pretty good. So, hope to hear more from you in the future. Maybe they'll let us work together on this. You know, it's not KOF, but I think we work well together on anything.
And goddamn it, if they don't let us work together, we'll fucking make it happen for ourselves.
Exactly, right? We got plans for that anyway. But no, that was a really good tournament, and I'm glad it was a West Coast expose, because I'm not saying that people are sleeping or ignoring this region, and they're not at all. Obviously, like some of the best players or the biggest players known for this game right now are from the western region of the United States. But I'd be
well, also shout outs to Pacific Northwest, because as far as I know, apparently they don't get lumped into West Coast. So
really.
I don't know.
That's. I mean, I would. But, all right. Yeah. South is Pacific Northwest for sure.
I don't. Hey man, whatever. We'll call you out. Shout outs to SoCal, NorCal. Fuck you, NorCal. I'm kidding. Kidding. We need to band together against Sonic Fox.
We need to band together. That's what I'm getting into. We got to band together against Sonic Fox because while the people who got the ball rolling with Dragon Ball Fighters in America are out here from West Coast and Pacific Northwest, everybody's eyes are on Sonic Fox right now. Every Dragon Ball Fighters related like article or piece of media seems to be centered around who can stop Sonic Fox because he's been running through NLBC for what, 3 weeks now straight? Is it been 4 weeks, 3 weeks? I don't know. And
wow, man.
I think he played a couple of outside tournaments out there, and he won those. And it's more or less against a similar pool than what he has to run into at NLBC. But this weekend is going to be his first Dragon Ball Fighters major at Winter Brawl.
Oh, he's going for sure.
I've been told he was going. Everybody keeps talking like he's got Winter Brawl this weekend, and then this is where he's going to get his first real challenge in Dragon Ball Fighters, which that remains to be seen. You know, I don't know who's going to Winter Brawl for Dragon Ball Fighters. I heard it's like a ton of people. You know,
I know Nakiel's going for sure. I know whoever has Winter Brawl in their Twitter is going. I'm assuming.
Yeah, just look for Winter Brawl on Twitter to see who's going for Dragon Ball Fighters.
I mean, I haven't not heard any concrete evidence that Sonic is gonna go. But here's the thing: so people talking about this whole West Coast, East Coast, whatever shit. Like I don't even think you could really talk about that stuff. Like until there's an actual meetup between these other players. On top of that, that area might have its own base of really good players.
Exactly, you know. And I'm not saying that NLBC doesn't have a strong pool of players because they haven't played anybody from outside of NLBC and Dragon Ball Fighters from what I've seen. But I keep saying this week after week. I can't wait to see Sonic Fox fight somebody outside of his region in the release game. We've seen him go through NLBC. We've seen him go through pretty much a lot of other East Coast tournaments, as it were. We've yet to really see him go up against somebody from outside of his region. That's not online. Online doesn't count. I'm sorry. I love playing online. You know, I had to take a break from rank mode because my salt levels are too high. Shout outs to ring matches, by the way. They're the best. And I just haven't seen anything from him from other than what he's shown us at NLBC, which is amazing. You know, he's like literally untouchable there. So I don't begin to even dream that he's not nice in the game.
I guess the best way that I could put this is we need to contextualize all these rankings that people are putting on these players. And I may be biased, but I think the best thing that we've had so far as for the West Coast, which has a lot of great players, was that Dragon Ball tournament. Coming into Winter Brawl, this may be that for that region.
Yeah.
So this may be when we finally get to contextualize who is where in a real tournament setting. And yeah, man, I just want to see Sonic Fox play somebody else. I'm not even we say this all the time. We're not fucking doubting the guy. The guy's an amazing player, clearly.
Yeah. I don't even hope he loses or anything like that. Like people have been like accusing me of like assuming that he's just gonna lose to people on the West Coast, and I'm like, nah, man, I don't think that at all.
I'm glad that people think Sonic Fox is unbeatable and that he's that godly. And in certain games he is, but it still remains to be seen in this game, which makes it exciting.
Yes,
you know that's the exciting part of it. And also, I really do wish that we had one of those sponsored players that like, it would be no big deal to show up at an NLBC. Like whatever, I just want to fly out there, and then go try to run through that. That would be so gangster, bro.
I mean, that would be great, you know, and and that could happen. You know, we're not looking at the impossible outcome here because you got talented players like Nakiel, you got talented players like Tatsu, Reynolds, Kizzy K, and all these guys are capable of being sponsored, I believe. If there's going to be a Dragon Ball Fighters sponsorship, easily those are 4 people you're looking at already, you know?
I also imagine that TOs are chomping at the bit to try to see this happen. Try to. I know there's people. See, here's a bad thing about the current climate of the FGC is clearly, I'd imagine that there's a buck to be made in this situation, right? That that
Possibly.
that there's a way to where everybody wins, but at the end of the day, I would like to see some old school shit where it's like, "What's up? I'm in your fucking area. Let's do this shit."
So you may actually see that coming now, because in addition to Sonic Fox dominating NLBC and every other Eastern tournament he's been to so far, he had, and I'm not even sure this is the first time he said this, but last night at NLBC, after he won, he gave, I won't even say a passionate speech, because it was not passionate. It was very much like, okay, I've been here before, and we're just gonna, we're gonna cycle through these words. And the thing that obviously struck me was he stated, "I'm gonna body West Coast."
Well, that's a fucking good thing.
That's what I mean. That's like,
why would he say that if he didn't give a fuck about the West Coast?
exactly.
If he didn't think it was a threat whatsoever, or it was something that he had to conquer, then he'd be like, man, fuck West Coast, fuck those guys over there, man. I'll beat the shit out of them, But no, I appreciate that. I want to move into an era of real competition, man, real rivalries, and we we may be going into an era where it's no, we all thought we were gonna be friends, but I guess
No, you can't. Like, all right. So there's competitive, like there's competitive acquaintances, and then there's friends. You might have like a friendly rivalry with somebody, or you might have like some John going on with your buddy, and it's like it's a work, it's WWE, right? But then there's a competitive acquaintance where it's like a competitive acquaintance where you respect each other, but you don't want to admit that kind of respect before the matches happen. You want to definitely get as deep inside your opponent's brain as possible before you actually sit down and start playing. And that's what I'm kind of hoping happens here, because when somebody says, "I'm gonna body West Coast," like you and I from KO13 era, when people said that shit, it was like, oh man, we gotta have a freaking sit down and talk about this. We're gonna have to like discuss like exactly how are you gonna do that, exactly how are you gonna body NorCal,
yeah,
exactly how are you gonna body SoCal. It never just slipped under the radar. Someone always said something, and once someone from somewhere said some shit in response to something like that,
yeah,
everybody had to jump in on it.
Man, I'll say one thing that I do remember that was a pretty ballsy move, and I don't think SoCal is willing to do this. As far as SoCal goes, I don't think they'll be willing to do this. Is somebody organized to get all those guys out here, or even not even all those guys, like just Sonic Fox, because really, like it's a Sonic Fox problem. Like not shitting on the East Coast or anything, but clearly he's put himself head and shoulders above everybody else. Where it's like
He's proved it already. Like nobody can fuck with him.
So it's just that one guy. If you want to bring him, and it'd be like, bring him over and then have some type of, I don't know,
the gauntlet, man, the Kumite.
I don't know, man.
Sonic Fox Kumite and Dragon Ball Fighters, dude.
Yeah,
I can see that happening in NCR. Honestly, like if he wins Winter Brawl, if he wins Final Round, I can see something like that happening at NCR, because NCR is heavy on the exhibitions.
I hope so, man. I don't know. I just want people to take it to each other.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that people won't be competitive against him or anything like that. Like I don't think that anybody goes into this thinking like I'm just gonna job the Sonic Fox and then take my second place or third place or whatever, right? I'll just be known as the guy that got bodied, but at least he showed up. I don't think anybody's going out there with that in mind. But I think now is the opportunity, especially if you're looking to make some waves in this competitive scene that is currently growing and is etching out your name in Dragon Ball Fighters history. Now's the time to fire back, make them think, let them know that, hey, you can say this. I'm not going to say you can't say this, but don't think I won't say nothing back,
I think that the game is so early, and that a lot of the people out here on the West Coast are semi-realistic about where the game is, that maybe they may feel a little uncomfortable making a full-blown fucking call out. I'm not even saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. All I'm saying is that might be what it is, because I don't know anybody that's so like a braggadocious type player outside of Sonic Fox.
That's what I mean. So we need some knuckleheads up in this. We need some damn Dragon Ball Fighters goons, man.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Like, we need we need somebody that's willing to talk the shit and back it up.
We
You
need
know?
a CJ Soulstar for Dragon Ball Fighters.
Oh,
Hell, just
man.
call him up, man. Be like, he'll talk on behalf of like Tatsu or something, you know?
Nah, man, because then he might say something that's like, wait a minute, I never felt that way. I'm better than the whole fuck. I'm better than Japan. I'm better than. I was like, yeah, that's right, man.
Who the hell is Goichi?
Yeah.
Actually, that's another guy I'd like to see Sonic Fox fight, Goichi. People have been mentioning him playing the Japanese region players in this already, and I mean, I've been seeing some of the stuff from out there, and I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but again, it's just it's inconclusive. We literally started before them. We got the game before them. I can't tell if they would be a great match for him or anybody else in America yet, but that's definitely something that that's definitely something that. Should happen in the near future. Anyway, so yeah, can't wait for that to happen.
If it's not gonna happen at a major, then we gotta set it up.
Oh, it has to happen at a major, man. Because I mean, you're right. If it can't happen at a major, then we do have to set something up, and it can't be online. As much as I want to pound the hell out of the online once it starts getting better, if it does, it can't be online because we want these people right in each other's faces, talking to each other, interacting, seeing each other's reactions, That's the whole point of this.
Did you just undersell Gods of Mayhem? What the fuck?
Did I just undersell Gods of Mayhem? I did not undersell Gods of Mayhem. I undersold the... I didn't even undersell anything. What are you putting words in my mouth here, man? I'm just over here being sensible.
We're trying to... Okay. Well, anyway, speaking of Gods of Mayhem, that's definitely the avenue that we're talking about, having these players go at each other, and trying to see some new shit, man. Some title fights. Nobody's actually done that shit yet. So whether it be on an online space or offline, I'm for it regardless.
Yeah, it's either way, it's fine. But there's one thing that needs to happen first. The netcode needs to get better. There's no way around it at this point. There's no disputing it. The netcode it's in need of work. It's got some things that needs to be done. And thankfully, this morning they finally addressed it pretty handily. The producer Tomoko released a statement from Bandai Namco saying that they were going to start working on fixing the netcodes, like just specifically fixing the online experience. And they admitted that there were things in the experience that just flat out didn't work, and they apologized for that, obviously. And their mission is now to make sure that this is something up and running. They didn't really have a deadline, but they did say an update was coming out this month. So they also stated that the update may or may not fix everything. So, take it for what it is, but we're expecting some big things from it. And in the future, and this is the part that kind of confused me because it was a little vague, but they said that Dragon Ball Fighters will be expanding greatly in the future. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Are you going to be expanding the online experience? Are you going to be expanding your marketing, machine around it? Like, what's going on with that? That could mean anything. It could mean both of those things.
Well, I would imagine that they lost a big chunk of their audience because the online wasn't working out. I'd imagine a lot of these even more casual players don't want to play against these other players that mash shit all the time.
Well, there's a mixture of that, and then there's people complaining about how, there's people legit wondering how are these guys so good at this game already? And I'm like, well, it's just different levels of play, man. People were leaving because they didn't want to play people like you and me, and we're not even good.
You say that, but I don't think you believe it.
I mean, I'm good. I don't know about you.
Yeah, fuck you, man. I'm not the one saying shit like that. This fucking guy. You're not that good, bro. You're not that good.
I mean, we got some new Broly. But anyway, yeah. So they probably lost a certain amount of people, and obviously, I don't really count Steam as the end all be all of numbers when it comes to console games and fighting games. But there was a gigantic drop off in Steam that we reported on recently, and we've been seeing it, as we mentioned before, on the console version on PS4. The lobbies just ain't as hopping as they were a week ago or 2 weeks ago, And so they're probably seeing that, and they're just like, well, They can only attribute that to something that they knew was wrong, and so this is them very transparently approaching us and saying we want to make it better, and that's the right way to do things. You don't sweep it under the rug and then hope that it just gets fixed. You fix it and people are still playing it when you fix it finally.
Mhm.
You let them know that you're doing it. Give them something to give the hope for.
They handle it pretty as best as you possibly can in
I
that
believe so.
situation. Happy you finally heard some concrete information about it, and that it got cleared up to an extent. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I just want it ASAP, dude. Like,
Well, you and I wanted ASAP. The Goons wanted ASAP because, like you said, we got Gods of Mayhem to run, and that's going to be awesome. But we're not even the only ones running online competitions. We're going to have things like the Cell games that are going to be ran by, I believe, Stream.me. And until the rematches get fixed, you can't even do that.
There's money to be made, and these people are like, fuck, kind of banking on the online infrastructure to work.
Yeah, and
what are we gonna do now?
What are we supposed to do now? And I'll be real with you, Stream. We started clenching our buttholes pretty close to mid-February when stuff still wasn't working. We're like,
oh, we called shit off immediately. And it was obvious it wasn't gonna work. And then when they said that it might take a while, I lost hope.
Yeah, but the fact that they approached everybody and said, we're committed to making this work, that means that not only are they trying to get back that audience that they might have lost by the malfunctioning netcode, but they also recognize that people like you and I and Stream.me have plans around this that are only going to make this game more popular. It's free advertisement for them. So I'm pretty happy with how things are turning out. I'm pretty satisfied with what they decided to do, and I hope that things only get better from here on out. Still don't know what they mean by expanding, but that's exciting in its own way.
Don't expand shit until you get this shit right, is what I would say. But on top of that, we got some reveals, baby.
Some reveals. And we were going to talk about it last Tuesday, but we couldn't, so I guess now's the perfect time to talk about it, because they keep on dropping information around. They actually just came out with some new images of Big Broly here. Big Broly and Papa Bardock revealed as the first round of DLC for Dragon Ball FighterZ. And I think everybody called that. I think everybody called that one. I think they were just like, if you release DLC that isn't either... Actually, if you release DLC, the first round isn't Broly, like, what are you doing?
So finally we have a confirmation of a non-canon character being in the game.
Yes,
and without a fucking doubt, with no fucking
two of them
conspiracy theory. Well, no.
Bardock technically depends on what.
Not even technically. Let me finish this shit about Brawling, and then we'll go into Bardock.
All right.
So without a shadow of a doubt, Broly definitely opens up the non-canon character.
Right.
There's no fucking argument that he's non-canon. Like, dude is straight up non-fucking canon. What does that mean for possible DLC? Had they cracked that bitch open to have literally anything in this game?
Well, if you were going to do that anyway, DLC was the perfect avenue for that. They've already shown that the story mode had a certain selection of characters that were already in the game, and then there was a lot that were in the game that weren't even in the story mode. And so this is more of a continuation of that, but even to the further extreme of them not even being in the same universe. Like, these guys don't even exist on the same plane. You won't ever see Broly interacting with Zamasu and Goku Black, except for now, obviously. So now, yeah, I would say that things are busted wide open. Movie characters, honestly, were not my first pick for what was going to come out for DLC. I knew it was going to happen, and I knew it was going to happen early, but I thought that first round would be more super characters, honestly.
I think you're right. But in sales point of view, I do think that at least Broly was a good
gigantic selling point, man. Like, I wouldn't even call that playing it safe or even taking a risk. That was just the obvious choice.
Yeah. But going back into like what kind of characters could get into this, I mean, well, So they even did a lot of homages in the game with the whole movie stuff with the Super Saiyan or Family
Family
Kamehameha.
Kamehameha, yeah.
Exactly, you pointed that out. So they're already at least in some way, shape, or form featuring movies in the game.
Yeah, they're basically setting up the dramatic finish, more or less.
And then Bardock, which I guess you have an argument that he is non-canon.
So the way that works is originally he was only mentioned in name only in the manga, like as Goku's father. I don't think they even mentioned him by name. And it wasn't until the actual TV special came out that they actually decided to include him in some form. And I think they actually retroactively inserted him into a reprinting of the manga or something like that. And it was during a Frieza having a flashback of Bardock, giving him the business for 2 seconds. But other than that, he's never really played a significant canon role in the series. And so it really depends on how deep you're willing to argue. Did they actually retroactively make him canon, or is he just canon? Actually, no, I take all that back, because Akira Toriyama went and blew that up a year ago when he wrote that End of Jocko, the Intergalactic Patrolman's manga, where it showed Bardock and Gine sending Goku off to Earth. Yeah. So yeah, he's
I don't
canon.
know. I wasn't even gonna argue with you because I don't think you would ever agree with what I'm gonna say. So I was just like, well, I hope you get it. And it seems like through this process, you're able to rehabilitate yourself and see that that Bardock is in fact canon.
I keep forgetting about that crap that he wrote like a year ago. Jeez.
What isn't canon though is the fact that he can turn Super Saiyan.
All right. So I don't have a problem with that, but at the same time, I mean, there's no same time. That's legitimately what I would expect from Bardock in a Dragon Ball game at this point, I mean, at least it ain't so crazy like making him go Super Saiyan 3 or even Super Saiyan Dark Super Saiyan, whatever, that Dragon Ball Heroes shit, But him turning Super Saiyan from the episode of Bardock special, I'm fine with that. That is not canon though. And some people have been kind of confused by that on Twitter, asking, is this real? Did this really happen? And I had to tell them, like, no, it's a special one-off, special that they wrote just to, I forget what that was about.
Well, either way, it just goes to show you how fucking cool it is to have Saiyans in the game, that you had this dude turn into a Super Saiyan.
Yeah, it's
like,
great.
We can't miss the point. I mean, we can't miss that opportunity.
It's literally like they keep saying, like the Super Saiyan bargain sale, man. But I don't think anybody's gonna really trip that hard about Bardock turning Super Saiyan, and it's just part of his Medio, his level 3. So he's not going to have it at all times, which is great, because part of the whole aesthetic of Bardock is him just being a regular Saiyan dude that just murphs people out.
I think it would be cool if like Vegeta turned Super Saiyan and then somehow changed into his GT clothes. And it was like, what?
Well, dude,
like,
you could
why the fuck is he doing that?
You could do that on the mods in the Steam version. They got all sorts of crazy shit on there. They got freaking baby Vegeta in there now. I'm
and
like,
he gets taller. Like, he's not a shrimp anymore. He gets like almost Goku's height.
Man, if only. I just want his jump M to be like, a little bit longer than it is.
Dude, I was watching some episodes from the Namek saga.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, wow, they used to draw Vegeta really small.
Yeah, he was super squat before.
Like Shrizimp. And then you get into like the Majin Buu era, and he has comparable height to Goku in that fight scene that they have.
Oh yeah, he got a little bit taller. No, I would attribute that to the fact that up until the end of the Frieza saga, Toriyama probably didn't really expect him to stick around that much. Probably intended him to stay dead, even, because he was still kind of like that weird blurry line between hero, like villain and anti-hero.
Well, I think in the manga he actually did stay the same height. I'm more talking about the animation.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's
no, in the manga it definitely varies too. Like there's been times where like he just looks like super freaking like heroic and stocky, like just he has that same kind of presence, especially during the Majin Buu arc, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like it doesn't. I guess it's just the angle that he was drawing at, or the way that the panels cut off, or something like that. But when they wanted to make Vegeta look like the main man, like they definitely made some adjustments.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I always had this thought in my head where, like, at a certain point, they had to just change the way he looked because they were like, well, now he's going to be the father of a main, face character.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna be the father of Trunks, and he's gonna do it with Bulma. And there's no way Bulma's doing it with Saiyan era Vegeta. They had to clean him up a little bit.
I don't know, man. I mean, he's clearly a murderer, so.
That's what I mean. But he don't look like one no more. Like, you look at Vegeta from Saiyan Saga and then look at him in Cell Saga, and like he's still a jerk, but not like the kind of jerk he was back then. He doesn't look like nefarious. Looks more like uncaring and crass.
I don't know, man. I'd argue maybe up until past Cell Saga where he starts to change a little bit. Because I think because of the contrast of how soft he got, that's why they did the whole Majin Buu thing. Because before that he was like,
he was a murderer. Oh man, oh no, Abe disappeared. Abe died. There he goes.
Sorry, I was talking about murder and they kicked me out of it.
Oh man, he
Discord.
got hit by the TOS.
But
ahead.
regardless, I would like to see some costumes, man. Damn, that's the one thing that ArcSys has not been willing to do really.
It's costumes.
Yeah, man, like DLC costumes. This is begging for it, man.
Well,
begging.
So originally, and I think we've discussed this before. Originally, that their process was it prohibited that.
I don't give a fuck about how difficult their process is. I want to see at least a few. Fuck.
Well, I mean, do you want to? I mean, if we're going to talk about leaks, then there's a possibility that they may have already created some of those, but in the form of other characters. Obviously, the leaks of normal Vegeta and normal Goku are already a thing that's out there in the ether. And when you look at them, you're kind of seeing at least the genesis of the ArcSys alt costume coming to life, because they could be characters in their own right, which is very possible. That's most likely what's going on. But at the same time, they are almost identical to their Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan Blue counterparts, except with black hair and different clothes on, So you could call that an alt skin.
Dude, you know what I would go for, and I know it would piss people off? If we could get a DLC of a completely different version of Trunks as more of a brawler, but in the Saiyan outfit.
I don't dislike that idea. In fact, I for sure remember before this game came out, I had made the wish into the atmosphere that Trunks was actually more like his Super Butoden counterpart, where he had no sword normals. He had no sword. It was all it was a brawler type, That's where the slide came from. That's where his crouching M came from. It's from Super Butoden.
It's definitely a precedent for no sword.
Oh yes,
Trunks. Yeah.
Like I don't even think he uses a sword half of the time in the series, man. Like it got broke hella quickly. He definitely didn't use a sword to fight Cell at all, and that's like one of his most memorable fights. Every other fight he ever had with the sword, he got his ass whooped.
Oh my god, dude, that would be a sick level 3 where he just fucking yokes out.
That's definitely something that they're missing in this game. Is seeing
3 years from now,
ultra level Trunks, man. Wow.
3 years from now, we're gonna get that shit.
Or you can see like Trunks in like just his tank top and his his gray slacks, like how he beat Android 17 and 18 in the future. Didn't use a sword for that either. Just freaking all done. So yeah, man, I would be really hyped for some alt costumes in this game, but they claim that it's gonna, the process just takes too long, and it's arduous, and it's just not fun for them to do. And there's
no shit, man. I imagine this whole game is not fun for them to do.
Well, like we keep saying, you know, like this game came out really quickly, man. Like you think about it, right?
That couldn't have been fun.
That
The
couldn't
amount
have
of
been
hours,
fun, right?
the amount of hours that clearly it was a passion project, and I think the only way this game works is if it's a passion
Oh,
project. Because the amount of work that has to go into getting this game out and having it come out as I guess heavy on content as it did had to set them back a few not lifetimes, but a few years in their life.
well, they probably had to put some projects on the back burner. Let's be real, man. Like they probably had, because they even said straight up to us that we're pulling everybody out of everything they're doing. They're working on Dragon Ball Fighters. That was the demand from the production company.
Yeah.
And we don't know what they were working on. They could have been working on a new Blaze Blue. They could have been working on a new Guilty Gear update. You know, there could have been all sorts of stuff that was like just pushed aside, possibly. I don't know. But yeah, it probably takes a little bit more than what they normally have to give up to support a game like this. And you want to put alt costumes in there. I think it'll sell billions. So I agree. Suck it up.
Suck it up, man. Do it for the fans.
Do it for the money, man.
Yo, Broly for free because we fucked up.
Jesus. For a short time only. For 2 days only.
You know, it was a trip. So I caught up on a lot of Super, but actually that's not what I was going to talk about. But I was going to talk
just
about.
Just go for it. Flow it in there, baby.
No. I had never heard Super in English, like ever. So I've never heard what Goku Black sounds like, right? And I listened to it, and I was like, "Fuck, dude, I really do not like Goku's voice." Like, fuck. I turned it off. I guess I can't watch this shit. I thought maybe they would have a different voice actor, just to make it sound that much different. But I don't even want to.
So the thing that about that is I want to hear Zamasu's English voice actor. Because the thing about Goku Black is it's supposed to be Goku's voice, but with Zamasu's speech patterns and his tendency to just ramble on about shit and wax poetic. So I would have to see what they did with English Zamasu before I really pass judgment on English Goku Black. Because if English Zamasu sounds like that, I'm like, well, there's no hope for English Goku Black otherwise, because he just basically has to mimic that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that brings me to another point. I've seen a lot of people rocking different voice regions, or like Japanese and English. Definitely seen it different across a bunch of people's streams.
So, and at Wednesday Night Fights, they put it on English, right? But in NLBC, they put it in Japanese.
Trying to remember what they had it at Dragon Brawl. I feel like it was English.
I think it was English too. I think Soul Cloud was always English. Like you guys have I mean, I would kind of understand that too, because that's pretty close to Funimation. If you use, I don't know if that's like a legit buff in terms of promotion or a chance to get a buff promotion, but if you're going to use the English voice actors, might as well do it in the place that's right next door to like where they record at, right? Or where they produce it at.
Imagine the Saiyan Showdown if they played the game and it was all in Japanese. Like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I know the voice actors are here, but we're gonna play this game in Japanese.
I actually almost said some shit.
Fuck you.
I was like, man, what if Carl's like up in there saying like, I can't play this shit, guys. Like this English voice acting. Like, I love you, Mr. Sabat, but you can't fuck with Horikawa. Sorry.
They didn't use English.
No, they used English voice actors.
I could whatever.
But you know Horikawa, Japanese Vegeta.
Anyway,
I would say that because I'm a Horikawa stan, but
anyways, yeah. DLC got announced. Oh, Rambo Goku clearly.
Ramboku, man.
Ramboku.
Solid Ramboku.
Who wore it better?
A lot of people should be excited for Bardock because first of all, let's get the obvious out of the way. Everybody's complaining about another Goku, too many Gokus in Dragon Ball Fighters, and they're all a little bit different. I think we're all
this one's
past
cool.
that part. This one's cool. Yeah, this one's a lot cooler than the other Gokus. This one literally fought Frieza's army all by himself after getting blown up by Dodoria. So I think he's earned his place in any game they ever make, and no one can complain about it. Not only that, his moveset is entirely different than his son's. Bardock more known for sneaky, underhanded guerrilla tactics than so much outright martial arts brawling. Like definitely the kind of guy that sneaks up behind you in the dark and snaps your neck, and then holds your body up while your buddy fills you full of lead and uses you as a shield. Definitely that's what Bardock fights like.
Also dig Bardock as a character just for a simple fact that all the Saiyans are pretty much little bitches to Frieza. And this is like the one dude who was like, man, fuck this fool. It's like when you're in jail and then the CO's treating you like shit, and then everybody's like, man, fuck that guy, but they still let him get away with all the bullshit because he got all the power.
Yeah.
But then it's like this one day, it's like, yo, Bardock goes to jail. He's like, yo, I got a plan. Check this shit out. They're like, where? He's like, yeah, check this out. And then they fuck up the CO and they take over the jail until ultimately they get mowed down by like some machine gun.
Well, yeah, basically that's what happened.
But yeah, dude. He's ride or die, man. I appreciate Bardock. He's a cool character.
Well, Bardock definitely represents something special that I think really gives Dragon Ball the series a lot of character. The whole fact, like his whole story is just totally not Dragon Ball. Like that. Like, let's just get that out of the way. Like Bardock's story is unlike anything Dragon Ball's ever told before. And it wasn't until they told that story that people really started thinking like, wow, there was actually some pretty deep, messed up stuff that happened in this universe. And we got to watch it happen. We got to watch it unfold, and they wrote this amazing character, almost maybe even by accident. I don't even know if they meant Bardock to be that incredible of a character, but it happened anyway, and he became a fan favorite.
I feel like they try to have their cake and eat it too with Bardock, where if you recall when Vegeta tried to get some sympathy from Goku and he was telling him about how like Frieza terrorized them and their race or whatever.
Oh yeah,
he was like, feel bad for me. This is why I'm a murderer.
He killed my father and yours too. And
don't forget about that shit, bro.
The funny thing was Goku was just like, I don't know any of these people you're talking about.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's exactly. It was like fucking saying like what the fuck is that? I'm supposed to have pride, and then Vegeta's just pointing out that's just saying pride right there, bro. Just want to let you see the truth. Saying pride in you, man.
You ain't no bitch.
Oh, well, I guess I do get stronger after I get my ass kicked. That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's what makes me a Saiyan.
Just repeat that 3 more times. You got this. Don't worry. I'm dead now.
Yeah, it was really around that time that they started trying to get that whole side of the story told, right?
Yeah.
Where they try to get a little bit of sympathy for the Saiyans and why they were bad or
why they did what they did to people, and and it was all Frieza's fault, and they were just following orders, and
but Frieza doesn't make you kill your homie like that, man. Like that, I don't think he has any influence on that shit.
I mean, let's be real here. They also retconned that again. Now they're saying that Frieza, they wrote it that Frieza destroyed Planet Vegeta because Beerus didn't like it. Beerus didn't.
Well, when the fuck did they do that? When the fuck did they do that?
That was in the second movie. That was in Revenge of Fukatsu no F. Yeah.
Man, in the movie or in the series?
In both, actually.
I don't know. I saw the movie, but I didn't watch the series.
It's when they're eating the yogurt parfait.
That's fucking bullshit.
I know.
Man, fuck
like,
Super.
Why did they do that, man?
Fuck Super. I'm never watching that bullshit again.
I'm sorry. I prefer to think that Frieza is just an evil bastard, but at the same time, the worst part about that, I'm like, why would you do that? And he doesn't even want anybody knowing about that, which is just the most bizarre shit. Like, why do you care if Vegeta knows that you had Frieza destroy the planet because you didn't like the way it was blocking your view?
I did not know that.
I was legit thinking about that a couple days ago, and that made me so fucking mad. I was like, dude, like, you ruined like 30 years of lore.
Man,
I
was just showing a friend at work that has no idea what the fuck I do, but he just knows that I do it. And he was like, yeah. I told him, hey, they just released new characters. And I told him, do you know who Bardock is? He was like, no. So he looks like Goku. I was like, well, it's not. It's not Goku.
It's Goku's dad, and he will snap your neck.
Yeah, and then I showed him the part where he destroys the whole planet. Um, and I was like, this is a cool part. I dig it, right? Because Frieza's fucking insane.
Well,
But
we get to watch Bardock get blown up by one of Frieza's. I don't even know what the name of that attack is. A giant orange sphere, and it just swallows him up. And I remember seeing that as like an 11-year-old. I remember like because my buddy showed it to me, and I was just like, wait a minute, that's because I didn't know the difference between Bardock and Goku. I'm like, wait, Goku's getting blown up. He's like, no, that's his dad. I'm like, Goku's dad is getting blown up. They can do that? Why would? Oh my god, this is really upsetting to me. You know? Like I'm watching this dude die in slow motion. He's getting ripped apart by the sun. This is awful.
And then he has a vision. My son is. That's pretty lame. That part's pretty lame.
My son will avenge me
My
and all
son.
the people that didn't believe me.
My son. Fuck King Vegeta. You little bitch. He had it coming, to be honest. To be honest, him and his little shit kid. God, has he ever not been a brat? And then Nappa. What a dumbass. We're all brothers, though. We're all brothers.
Oh man, I could talk forever about the Saiyan Brotherhood and how the Saiyans actually have a gigantic capacity for love, but they are too busy being tsundere to actually explore it. So
I don't even know what the fuck that means.
don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah, I feel like I'm better off not knowing.
Yeah, you're better off not knowing about
Get
it.
that term out of my face. But Gibby, super producer, if you're out there somewhere in space, outer space, or in the internet, or in this call, we need to bring you on, man. We got some questions to get through, bro.
Some questions to field.
What? We got questions?
Yeah.
Oh man, okay.
Hopefully they're not all from Davimon asking about. He should not have any Broly questions anymore.
You would think that.
No,
Broly-
because he's gonna answer them for you. He's gonna tell you how Broly plays. Listen,
Alright.
guys. I have a
So, first question comes in from Benigmatica. He asks, do you have any fears or worries that Bardock and Brawly will have underwhelming response once it's revealed? And found out that they're not as strong as the rest of the characters?
Zero. Zero.
So the response that I would look for is, are they going to get bought? Yes. So if people are upset that they're not as strong as other characters, I mean, so what? That's what the tweaking is for later on in the game's lifespan. But in terms of are people going to purchase these characters? You better believe it, man.
Okay.
Printing money, bro.
Yeah, he has a follow-up question. And now with 2 DLC characters announced, any idea or speculations in regards to the 6 remaining characters for Season 1?
Oh man, it's hard to do this after seeing all those leaks come out and one of them looking kind of close because of the other.
Raditz is about to be in this game.
The Raditz, yeah. I mean, yeah, Vegito,
Shit.
Cooler.
Oh, come on, Shredder Cooler, please.
Normal Goku, normal Vegeta.
If they give us Frieza clone Cooler, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed.
I don't think they'll do that. That's like some Budokai shit. Actually, I don't think even Budokai did that. I think Budokai gave him some I mean, they only had like 2 moves per character in Budokai anyway, so.
Okay.
I think it'll be I think they'll be pretty unique. They have a unique move list from the anime and the movies.
Alright, so
It's
you
Metal
two,
Core,
you
you
two
can
good on this
generate.
question?
Yeah. It opens up the cast can be opened up to like mammoth proportions. There we go.
Okay. EX Wild Wolf. Okay, his first question is the same question that was just asked. And his second question is completely unrelated. He says, on a side note, who is your pick for the next DLC character for King of Fighters 14 3.0?
What the hell, man? This is the wrong show.
So check this out. I actually got a really good answer for that. And I'm glad you're here asking that question. Because I'm going to direct you to a nice little show that we created called Fatal Showdown, where we talk about this exact thing. And we usually run those on Mondays. So if you want to hear our impressions about KOF, we're going to blow it open on the next episode of Fatal Showdown. So
Yes,
stay
sir.
tuned for that. There you go. That's the answer right there.
All right. Next question is from Chunk Brixon. Asks, with tournament season coming up, who do you think is in line to be crowned the first DBFC champ?
Like at a major?
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, with Nakiel going to Winter Brawl, and I guess Sonic Fox also being there, I mean, I don't want to discredit anybody else, but it might end up being between those two. And who do I think is on track to being the first winner? It is impossible to say.
I can't really bet, man. I have no idea. Like I know we talked about this already. Exhausted this topic, right? And we have. Is Chris G gonna go? Do you know if he's gonna go?
I think he has in the past,
Mhm.
so he might pop in for that. I mean, if he does, I would also include him in that running easily.
I think I'd put my money on Chris G just for the simple fact that he is clearly proven his tournament capabilities. And from how he played under extreme pressure last time, I wouldn't be surprised if he rises to the ranks again. Now, saying that, it's like I can't put my vote for Sonic Fox just for the simple fact I haven't seen him play other people at his level. I can't fucking make a call on that. And usually
Yeah,
try to make one.
I gotta say for sure, and I don't want to drag this on much longer, but part of what makes Sonic Fox so damn strong at NLBC is the fact that he just smashes everybody. Whereas on the West Coast, you see a lot more closer matches going on. Now, I don't know if that's because people on the West Coast are just all more plateaued on the same area, same level, and Sonic Fox is all the way up here. I don't know. We won't know until they play each other. But we do know that Sonic Fox is not, it cannot be touched on the East Coast as of right now. Next week could be a totally different story. This weekend could be a totally different story.
Honestly, I just can't pick who would win. It's just impossible at this point. I can't. I can't, and I won't.
Okay. So he has a follow-up. He says, speaking of tournaments, you guys think that Fighter Z could edge out Street Fighter V for the most entrants at EVO?
What the fuck? Did you say it that way, or are you saying it that way?
Fighter Z.
No, you said it that way.
No, I most likely said it that way. I'm not wearing my glasses. I'm sorry.
Fighter.
I think I said it already. Yeah, I think Dragon Ball Fighters could edge out Street Fighter V for the most
That was a
entrants.
Pockets pick.
Yeah, that was a Pockets pick.
You can't go back on a Pockets pick.
I'm sticking to it. So thankfully, there's no downside to the Pockets pick being wrong.
We did talk about this a lot. I think like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, has a good chance. Pretty good chance.
Granted, this was before people started getting, burnt out by the online, so you never know.
All right, next question comes in from... That's not a question. Next question is from Krillin the Villain. He asks, this is just pure speculation, but you think Bardock is said to have good rushdown pressure? You think he'll end up like Adult Gohan with crazy strings?
I don't know. I mean, if it's like the Extreme Butoden version, no. It would be more likely based on getting... I don't think it's going to be anything like the Extreme Butoden version.
He'll probably have a dope assist, bro. Like where he creates a hard knockdown or something that you could combo off of.
Like that dude has straight infinite in Extreme Butoden. He might have some unblockable moves. That'd be cool. Like his might have a command grab, the chokehold, which causes a crumple state, and you can combo after that. Might have the tackle, which is unblockable. It could, be somewhat like Android 21's rush grab. Yeah, I can see him having something like that. The one thing that I saw from the images is that he seems to have a combo string, which is basically a Rekka in this game. They did claim that it was hard to chain together from normals, though. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I had to see it in action. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't think he's going to be a big damage character. I think he might be a damage over time type character. That's my best guess.
I think he's gonna be top tier, bro. Straight out the box.
I mean, he could be, yeah.
Straight out the box.
Doing chunks ain't that hard in this game, so.
What's the next question, Gibby? Oh shit.
All right, next. Oh boy. Next question is a question we get just about every week. If Dragon Ball Fighters could have a guest character, who would you want in? This is different. This is asking,
Janemba.
who would you want in?
Terminator.
Terminator. I like it.
Yeah. John Connor from Terminator 2.
Oh my god.
Oh, he's already in there. His name's Trunks.
I want to be in Dragon Ball Fighters. Put Hell Pockets in Dragon Ball
Hell
Fighters.
Pockets and Dragon. I like that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question, Abe, or you good?
It's Terminator, right?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. And final question of the night. Red Gohan asks, what do you think are the chances of a Fighters Pro Tour? I think it'd be a missed opportunity not to have one.
This is a good question. So remember how I said that they had dropped that little tidbit about how Dragon Ball Fighters was expanding in the announcement that they were planning on improving the netcode and add patches to it. Initially, it kind of sounds like they're going to expand the online experience. But I think that in expanding, I think they also might mean, we're expanding how we promote this game. We're expanding, our support of the game to the competitive scene, because they have repeatedly spoken in public out loud about the competitive scene and how they made this for the competitive fighting game scene, and how they have entertained the idea of esports, and that they said verbatim it would be on the community to decide if the game needed to go esports or not. Now, is that going to be a pro tour? I don't know. Pro tours are expensive. Pro tours are not easily just, drummed up and then carried out. Even if you have a willing series of tournaments willing to run them, you need things like sponsors. You need a team dedicated to producing it, and basically 10-0. You need a lot of moving parts here, and it's not cheap. Like having the Cup of Noodles sponsorship for sure helps. That's a great sponsorship to have. But I mean, are we talking something that's going to be like Tekken World Tour or Capcom Pro Tour? Obviously, you would probably want something like Capcom Pro Tour with like $600,000 at the end of it, but that don't just come from nowhere. So, if we see a Pro Tour, it might not happen this year, and if it does, it might be just the beginning of it. It may be like the baby version of it, and then we'll see what happens next year. Same thing that happens with Tekken World Tour this year if they do it again. So, stay tuned is all I can say.
Has there ever been a precedent for two big games being successful at an event like that?
Nope.
I didn't think so.
It's always a singular event. No, I don't think that, I don't think it can happen. Like, I think it could totally be something where, like, if Bandai Namco wanted to take the infrastructure they had already created around one Pro Tour and then just, like, I don't want to say shoehorn, but then just, like, lend some of that to their other big game, I don't think that would be horribly impossible. And I mean, let's face it too. Like, if you're looking for people to throw down bread for a Pro Tour IP, how are you going to beat Dragon Ball?
Yeah, I don't. It's interesting that comment was made by her, that she said that they weren't down, that they kind of want the scene to grow itself.
Right.
Which is a really unique stance to take, as of late on a game that's getting
incredibly.
Released. Which I appreciate also, as like I do think that's a pretty good idea. The community does need to stand on its own 2 feet, and if it can and it manages to, then running a Pro Tour round is going to be even easier.
Yeah. I mean, there's people that argue that if it doesn't come out the gate with a Pro Tour, it's already dead. But I feel like Dragon Ball FighterZ is probably big enough to survive that amount of, I won't even call it downtime, just that amount of like buildup, I think if you let the game marinate and mature on its own, like you said, the Pro Tour becomes the easiest part of, promoting it, other than getting the sponsors and stuff.
I think maybe what they want is for it to be its own thing, its own running thing outside of whatever Tekken's got.
Right. And let's also be frank here, like these Pro Tours are also products of the, at least in terms of Capcom, the American branch. The American branch created the Pro Tours. That was Hans. and Matt D.
Mhm.
So I mean, if anybody at Bandai Namco wants to undertake that, great. But I haven't heard of anything yet. So, and it ain't easy.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, the game's got a bright future still. I don't think there's anything that's exposed to be get us worried at least that the future is bleak.
I'm
Um,
actually looking at chat right now. Sorry to but yeah, a lot of people are mentioning that it could be on Xbox too if it is a Pro Tour because, I mean, every major promotion for the game so far has been done by Microsoft. So if we want to see a Dragon Ball FighterZ Pro Tour, might have to buy an Xbox stick.
I feel like they know that would be a blow up,
Yup.
so I doubt it.
That's why they might have to wait a year.
But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of things to look forward into the future of this game, and I don't think anything's come out that's really going to deter that so far. Um, yeah, man, I don't know. All things are possible as of now.
Yeah, they're very possible. Like, I don't think people should feel discouraged at all or even be worried that it wouldn't end up on PS4 if they ever ran a Pro Tour. They just, they need to be patient. This is one of those things where you can't even really predict it. You can assume, and then when it happens, you can say, oh, yeah, I called it, But Pro Tours are very young, and they are changing every year, both in terms of size, in terms of money, in terms of the scope of the people involved with it, the sponsors, names, and not always for the better either. Let me tell you that, and not always for the better. So, yeah, I would be patient and wait for that to happen, and until then, keep enjoying the game. We have a very healthy tournament series around it already that's handled by various majors. No one that I know of is not like there aren't any tournaments that aren't running this game, basically, right? So there's never going to be any shortage of opportunities to play this on a big stage. And I mean, it would be awesome if the game picks up a ton of steam at a community event. NLBC just got put in the New York Times. So it could totally end up catching some fire if, people stick around and have a look at the stream and say, hey, this Dragon Ball game's all right, I might just want to watch this because it's entertaining, not because it's an esport.
Hell yeah, man. Let's get on that Dragon Ball train. Let's make it happen. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting towards the end of this show, or pretty much there right now. And this is about the time that we say, is there any plans that we got so far for the future of Mount Paozu Arcade?
Plans in the future? Well, we want to go back to doing Tuesdays because that's our schedule, right?
Right. So next week we'll have another Tuesday show. Or don't hold me to it. But we more than likely we'll have.
I will wake you up.
Yeah. More than likely. And then as soon as the ring matches get fixed, we're gonna have some MPA lobby setups.
Yes. I'll talk a little bit about that because the MPA lobbies are going to be things that we originally were going to merge that with MPA as a show, but the timing just we wouldn't have been able to talk at length about anything. We'd just be talking probably to a guest for 20 minutes and then just having him play some randoms online. Whereas with MPA lobbies, we can pull a guest in or a couple guests in, play each other, pull in some randoms. Some of the people from chat can come in and play. And, maybe if Bandai Namco hooks us up, you can beat us and get a prize. I don't know. That's up in the air. But it's all dependent upon the ring matches.
Absolutely, man. And I can't wait to make that happen. Finally get some sets against people. Because it's nice, man. When you get them going, it's nice.
Yeah, it's really comfortable. And I already tweeted earlier about how I, I haven't felt that much. I haven't felt that good about playing the game in almost a week. So glad the ring matches are around. And when they work, they are amazing.
Word up. Last but not least, thank you guys for watching. And if you enjoyed what you watched, if you could hit us up with the follow, or if you're generous enough, hit us up with the subscribe. Or if you're feeling like you want to throw on this nice shirt at the bottom of our screen, please go to our Teespring and help yourself.
Yes, Straight Goonin is the design, I believe, right?
That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Also, I don't know. Do I have anything else? What else do I want to say? shout out to all the players, shout out to all the tournament organizers that have been putting together these amazing events around Dragon Ball FighterZ. It is only month 1.5, so remember that this game could look totally different by Evo, and technically that's not even the end of the year for it. So the game's continuously evolving. We're getting some patches on the way. We got DLC on the way. Things are going to change. People are going to adapt. Things are just only going to continue to become more exciting. So I would definitely advise you guys to stay tuned and tell your friends about Mount Paozu Arcade if they want to hear some experienced FGC pundits give their opinion on the scene and the players there. And I can't wait for Winter Brawl to go down, because after that we may officially have our Dragon Ball FighterZ player power rankings, at least in America. And then we can say who's good and who ain't good, who would beat who we want to see play who. Then you can ask me those questions. I have some stats finally. Give me some stats, please. All right, I'm done yelling.
Are you though?
No, not really, but just for the last 2 seconds I am. But that's it. Are we done here? Is it night over? Night's over?
Handed it off to you, man.
Handed it off to me? Okay, cool. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight on Mount Paozu Arcade on our hopefully last Thursday special episode. No, we always have special episodes whenever we need to talk about stuff. Shout outs to the players. Shout outs to the stream. Shout outs to super producer Gibby somewhere in the background.
All right, super producer.
Yeah. And of course, shout outs to the goons. You guys are the best. Donate, help us out, and make sure you get ready for the Goon Suite at Evo 2018. If you're going, we want to see you. And always remember, keep it super. You know what I'm saying?